Doubling your control is easy when you do these two things that lazy riders do. So if you love shredding, but you hate going slow through corners and wonder how some people get it so quick without practicing,
yeah, buddy.
Here is why. Other techniques you may have tried, they are correct, but how to do them in a way where it works with gravity and with your body's nervous system, that's the real secret. I know it sounds deep, but it's simple when you know what I know. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Dave, and it's my job to deconstruct the techniques, habits, and strategies of world-class performers so you can shred with absolute confidence. You're on the free side right now of Mountain Bike Academy here on YouTube, and in this video, I'm gonna reveal what my Athlete Accelerator students, like Gary, did in this one practice session to corner with confidence and feel it automatically. Now at this point, 1,065 mountain bikers have gone through our performance intensives, and this is based on what we did together here for free. So that being said, get your save button ready because you'll want to practice some of this first on the trails, and you'll want to be able to come back to this video later. So hit the save button and let's dive in. Step one, you need to create balance. So everyone's going to tell you what foot to drop and how to lean the bike and where to look. And this is great for beginners and easy to do, but here's what's up. I can drop one foot and smoke a corner, but I can also do flat feet and smoke a corner. So what makes advanced riders get this without trying and others stay stuck forever? I don't care what foot you drop. Let me teach you how to do both techniques and create balance for both. So instead, you need to create balance instead of creating bracing. So to be great at cornering, you need a big, wide platform that's easy to balance on. Let me say this again. You need a platform that's wide and big and easy to balance on. And if you like to drop your outside foot, the benefit of this is you can create a lot of control between the bike and the body. In other words, it's easy to just like tell the bike what to do. And it helps you lean the bike without too much effort. It also makes the knobs of the tire dig in, and it's great for low speed flat turns. All of this has one requirement though. You need to be super strong throughout the entire body. Now the downside is even if you are strong and you're very good at dropping the outside foot, most riders lose movement when they lock this up and they can't respond to trail changes. This feels like when you hit a bump on a corner or when the turn maybe changes shape, or if it goes from a berm to a flat and you feel like the bike is standing up, or if you feel like you need to panic brake, or if you feel like there's just a lot of stiffness in the body and you're trying to get the bike to lean more or turn more and it just won't do it. That's what it feels like. Those are the symptoms of having this happen. So instead, to create balance, you can give yourself more ability to adjust by, instead of being a little pink ballerina and focusing on balancing on one foot, use both. I know this sounds like common sense, but use both pedals. Now real quick, I need you to subscribe to the channel right now because we're on a mission to solve the progression problem, and the more riders that see this video, the more we can restore confidence through athleticism, and your subscription means a lot, so hit that subscribe button now and share this with a riding group or a riding buddy. Okay, so play around with these two things. Equalize pressure in the feet. We're gonna use both feet, no matter the crank position. Okay, so if you do drop your outside foot, it will stand the bike up and lock things down. So in order to counteract that, just keep the bike from standing up by pushing with both feet. Try to do it about equally. It doesn't need to be perfect. So what you just did there is you expanded the size of what you're standing on. Try standing on one foot, now try standing on 2 feet. Which one's more stable? Let's use our common sense here. The next thing I want you to do is when you're using kind of equal pressure, play with a range of dropping the outside foot. So instead of just extending your outside leg as far away from you as you can in the turn, play with maybe a little bit of dropping, maybe a lot, maybe something that's 80 or 90% of a straight leg out here. So when you do this and you keep relatively even pressure in the feet, you get something which is a bigger balanced platform. Now this is something that Gary and I had already fixed, and this is where my philosophy is different. Instead of focusing on right and wrong technique, I focus on weak links, and that's it. You're only as strong as your weak link, and Gary is as strong as an ox. He's probably 6'3" and could bench 9 of me, but he said cornering still felt a little forced when we started. So we assessed every aspect of his movement, every aspect of his strength and his skill, and we decided simply putting even pressure in the feet would help the most with level feet because we ride a lot of flatter trails. So he nailed this almost immediately. And yeah, good work, Gary. So this gave Gary a balance that he wasn't even accessing before. So here's a pro tip that we share with pro riders. Literally, if you look closely here, my feet are straight up and down. I have no option but to lean on the bars if my weight goes forward or backward. I have a tiny spot to balance on with my feet. This is hard. If I drop my outside foot but also stagger my feet, in other words, I give myself a little bit of room, then this feels almost as good as the outside foot dropped, but now I have 5 times of a bigger platform to balance on fore and aft. Now think about that. Can you see how this works? Bigger platform, bigger balance, more forgiving. It's like going from a persimmon wood driver to a modern Titleist. 4. Now that you've got balance, let's get step 2, which is transfer forces. You need to transfer forces. If you've known for years that you need to look where you're going, and you try to stay fit, and you try to have good technique, but you're still holding back and cornering, this is where it gets very complex. It means you're missing one of the 3 T's, torso, tilt, or twist, which by the way, I did an entire video on the more technique side of this and what to do, so if you wanna go deeper on that, you can click that here. And simply put, we need to get our torso low first. This makes room for us to lean the bike. You need to tilt the bike or the body, depending on the type of turn it is. So this makes the side knobs grip. It lets the bike or the berm do the work for you, again, allowing you to lazy boy it out of there with speed. And finally, we need to twist. This one puts our physiology and gravity working together. And I'll explain what to do for each of these here in a minute, but I'm gonna go deep into the body mechanics and the physics to really break down why. You're gonna love this. So let's break down the torso first. You need to get the torso lower. This is to give you a range of motion. Practically, this gives us room to tilt the bike over, and it's very simple. The turns, if they're flat and there's no berm, you wanna lean the bike, not the body. And if the turn happens to be around a berm, then you can play around with it, but essentially you're leaning the bike and the body as one unit. Not only does it give us room to move, the second thing that it does physics-wise is it does something super, super important, which is lower our center of gravity. Now, let's look at a triangle here. If I have a triangle that is shaped really, really tall, I stand on top of the triangle and I try to jump to the side, that triangle may tip over. Or it doesn't really allow for much of the force that I'm pushing sideways to get transferred that way. So think about this. If I'm standing with my feet really close inside of a berm and I try to jump as far as I can without letting my leg go out that way, it's very hard to get to the side. But if I shape my body in a way where my triangle, my feet are out to the side of me, it's much easier for me to jump to the side. So in the same way, when we get low, it widens our triangle in the side-to-side plane. We're in a gravitational field. We wanna work with gravity and not against it. We also wanna work with our body and not against it. So if our triangle is really, really tall, we're not going to be able to use gravity and stay under it to jump to the side and move that way. That's what we're doing when we're cornering. We're essentially moving from one side to the next, again and again and again and again and again, around a turn. So if our triangle is really skinny, gravity just stands us up and we have to hit brakes because, again, centripetal acceleration is mass times velocity squared over the radius of the turns for all you math geeks out there. Okay, so that's the physics of why we need to get the torso really low. Now, there's a lot of nuance in this right now these days because the modern riding style is a tall hinge, in other words, tall legs and a very bent over torso. I'm a big fan of the tall hinge, I'm a fan of the low hinge. You can see all kinds of riders doing all different kinds of things. What you need to find is a range of motion for your body where you can both lean the bike and you feel like you have more stability than you need. Now, if you like this so far, hit the like button again, share this with a rider if you think it'll help them, and let's move on to the second part, which is tilting. Tilting the bike independent of the body or with the body is the second aspect that you're missing if your riding is breaking down and you're cornering. And I wanna talk about this one with regards to making space to do this. Now, let's break it down. Outside foot dropped first and then level pedals second. So outside foot dropped. Again, it's a pretty mechanical thing you can do. You just want to use your arms to do this a little bit more. And if your torso is nice and low, you should be able to do this. So my big tip for you, if you're kind of stuck where you're a rider who prefers to drop the outside foot and carve your turns this way, and you're able to get really low with your torso and also you're tilting the bike on those flat turns, If all of that is coming together for you and you can mechanically get it done, but you still feel a little bit stiff, again, my biggest tip would be play around with putting pressure into both feet and play around with rotating that inside crank forward ever so slightly. I'm talking 5-10 degrees to give you more of a platform to stand on. And what I want you to do is practice biasing your weight towards your feet more than normal. So you still will require a brace through the hands to tilt the bike over. You still will require that you mechanically need to do that. So, increase your core strength, do a lot of planks, do rotation, anti-rotation work, and just work on the cranks. Because again, if the cranks are there and you've got 5 times of a bigger area to press down into with your feet, then your balance is gonna be so much better and you'll need to rely on holding onto the bike a little bit less. Now, if you like to ride with your feet pretty much level with the horizon, the single best thing you can do after you've gotten the body nice and low with your torso and you've tilted the bike over, it's to expand your movement capacity, which is actually number 3 that I'm gonna lead into. But what I wanna really hone in on here is mechanically, you really just need to work on the tilt drill that I've got right here. So the off-trail bike tilt drill, I'd put it in another episode, but really I'm gonna break this down here. What you do is you point everything 45 to 60 degrees to the direction you want to turn. Bike is still, 1 foot's on the ground, and literally like the only thing pointing with your bike is the on the bike foot. Everything else, knees, hips, chest, your shoulders, your head, your hands, everything else points in the direction where you want to turn. And what I want you to do is get nice and balanced while still and feel the difference of the bike and the body. Here's the secret. In order to do this the right way, we have to use our torso, our tilt, and our twist to shape the body in a way where we can stay really far away from this spot over here. What this allows us to do is to counteract all these forces with extra balance. In other words, if I wanted to, I could move this way and still stay in balance, and I could move this way and still stay in balance. If you're feeling stiff, like you're panic braking, or you feel like just you're not able to go fast enough, it's because you are on the very edge of balance when you're doing a turn like this. In other words, if you make any changes whatsoever, or you hit a little bitty bump, or your tires slide at all whatsoever, then you're surviving and you're not shredding. The way this works is the faster you go and the sharper the turn, the flatter that this arrow gets. Okay? So that means that you need to get completely parallel with the horizon if you are going super fast over something super sharp. And if you're going really slow, you might only have to get here, or if the turn is not that sharp, then you might only have to get here. So take a video of yourself and self-analyze. Did you get where you twisted your torso and you tilted the bike over enough to where you put this in line with the forces coming up at you? Gosh, when you do that, you can make all kinds of mistakes and still be right in the middle of the balance pocket on the bike. So doing this drill and feeling that press into that foot and how everything is just, your body's all going this way, that's what it feels like to corner with the bike tilted over. Take a look at number 3. So if you're still stuck, then you can expand all these other movements into pure balance, completely effortless, with twist. So there's torso again, there's tilt of the bike, and then there's twist. So when we twist the body, what we're doing is we're taking it and swinging the hips out over the bike. And I got yelled at by someone online. They're like, oh, Jackson Goldstone doesn't do that. He's perfectly in line with his bike. And what this person didn't realize is that Jackson Goldstone, he was riding this tiny little berm at Warp Mach Chicken. Like, we can't do that. So if you want to do this, here's the cheat code. It's being able to twist your hips. Now, most riders have severe hip mobility issues that they need to work on first, and that is your weak link. And it's straight up, you don't have glute activation, your core is not working with your hips, and you're locked in, your hips and your femur are locked together. It just feels like you're fighting the bike. 90% of the time what it is you can't twist your hips on top of the pedals independent of the pedals. And that's because you're having to lock everything down because you can't move your hips with control. Very common, nothing to feel bad about, and the older you are, the worse that it tends to get, even if you're an athlete, okay? Aside from that, what we need to do again is we need to rotate and twist the hips, and what this does is it literally quadruples your ability to get low and create space for tilting the bike. So it just takes the first thing and it multiplies the greatness of the first two moves. And really great riders, they're able to access this. So my tip for you, very simple tip, is twist way more than you think you should, because there's all the benefit to doing this and there's almost zero penalty. It literally just means if you're going straight down a trail really fast and you twist your hips, there's no speed penalty, there's no balance penalty. It's just a little bit of an extra movement, and there's really no downside to this. So play around with swinging the hips while you're low and tilt that bike under you, and you will feel like you are a fighter pilot just zipping through in a dogfight, dodging missiles. It's awesome. If you're listening to this going, man, I love mountain biking, I love what you're saying here, but I've been stuck in a plateau and it feels like I've got it all. I've got the bikes, the trails nearby, the riding group, the experience is great, but I just can't progress. And you know deep down there's a great rider inside. You need what the pros do. Number one, you need to find a circle of mentors to help you improve your weak links specifically. Number two, you need to get rid of bad habits that have snuck in over time and refine those using feedback from world-class instructors. And number three, you need to practice with intention and guidance with a specific goal in mind. If that sounds like you, go apply now to our year-long performance intensives in the Mountain Bike Academy Athlete Accelerator. We will give you a full rider performance analysis on and off the bike. We will pair you with the same mentors that have coached riders with Red Bull helmets, and you'll use our proprietary software that models your memory to help you learn faster. I put a link below where you can apply now, and there is a full explainer video attached in the next step. Go ahead and click the link below, and I'll see you in the next step. Thanks.